Once again, this is actually my second attempt at this floor, because in all honesty, this is actually one of the floors I've been dreading the most out of the entire Hall of Heroes. And the reason is because we have to fight two Snagrets, a pileated Snagret and a burrowing Snagret, around this sand pit that basically is extremely hard for Pikmin to run out of, especially leaf Pikmin. So yeah, in general, this is a very frustrating cavern layout, to be honest. We actually dealt a bit of damage. I almost feel like the bitter spray causes some problems occasionally. I don't know if this is actually the case, but I almost feel like it makes the enemies a bit tougher, which makes sense because you do petrify them. That's sort of a trade-off, like they're immobile, but do have slightly higher defense at times. I'm also fighting it slightly in a slightly risky way, where I'm basically using all of my Pikmin, which might be a mistake. I might not recommend fighting it this way, in all honesty, because that's a lot of Pikmin to try to maneuver around here, more than using just the purple Pikmin. But this, in theory, will speed things up. But again, in practice, will cause other problems. Luckily, the burrowing Snagret is over here, so as long as we stay kind of over in this area, we should be fine. Let's try something here. Let's try Toss Pikmin. It's not going to attack, it's going to immediately burrow like that. But this is the problem. If Pikmin get into this sand pit, it can be very difficult for them to actually escape. So yeah, just using a spray to make it a little bit easier. Again, I also have plenty, so that's why I'm also not overly concerned with kind of burning through a lot on this fight. So we're about 2/3 of the way there. That's not great, but luckily got stuck again, because with the purple leaf Pikmin in particular, they have the hardest time making it out of here. So if one falls all the way to the center, it's very hard to retrieve it in time. But luckily it got stuck and we were able to petrify it right away, so no big deal there. And it got stuck again. I'm actually getting surprisingly good luck with this. I say as I immediately failed to latch any Pikmin onto it, but we were able to defeat it using throws, thankfully giving us another treasure. But obviously, we're not done yet. It unfortunately landed right where the other Snagret is. But luckily it got stuck right away too, and we were able to get through that fight much more easily. So, second try, I will definitely take it. Yeah, using all the Pikmin actually isn't a bad strategy, as long as you're able to swarm quickly enough to get out of danger in time. Worth 1,000 Pokos, we have the Lustrous Element. And that takes care of one of my least anticipated floors of this cavern. I do need to stress one of, because there is actually a floor that I'm dreading more, but luckily we have a bit of a break. We have a rest floor, we have no treasures, and we have tons of Mamutas, and the Spectralids. That's interesting, the cutscene didn't play. Yeah, I was expecting the cutscene for collecting the enemies, and we didn't actually have it, so that's very interesting. I guess maybe it only plays up to a certain point in the adventure. Well, I was kind of hoping to show that off, actually, but I guess not. At this point, again, the main reason why I don't collect enemies is to avoid messing up my Poco count, in terms of, meeting the goal at the end. But since we don't have to worry about, accidentally ending the day early, I'm not overly concerned about carrying enemies back. In general, I usually don't opt to, because it just takes time. And honestly, because it's not really about, money value after a certain point, it's more about the it's more about just collecting all the treasures. It also, to me, makes it less worthwhile to go after the enemies, because it doesn't really contribute much, unless you're trying to get, like, a really high score for some reason. We have a lot of honey wisps here, so yeah, we are going out of our way to break all these just to be on the safe side so we don't miss anything, but we're free to move on. Well, that was a nice break while it lasted, but it didn't last very long. This is a predicament. We have a ton of enemies on this side and this side, so there's not really a safe place to leave our Pikmin right now. For now, let's call all of our non-purple and non-blue Pikmin over here, and carefully make our way past these Wollywogs. I'm trying to get solid ground on purpose so we have a slightly better angle to actually fight these, but it's also very scary having to fight two, but luckily we did get the stun right away, so now we actually have solid ground to stand on, which is definitely going to help. So yeah, we'll probably take the Pikmin over here. Again, there's less risk of them falling off into the water, which is definitely good. Oh good, that's just an egg. I was worried there was a bomb for a moment, because I didn't actually think bombs would fall on this floor. Alright, so what do we do here? Like, what's the order of operations for this floor? There's definitely a case where it's like, yeah, this isn't exactly like the best case scenario for floor layout. I've definitely seen worse floor 6s of this particular cavern, but I've definitely seen variations that were easier to work with as well. If all goes well, we might not have to fight too much here. Let's see. Yeah, if we defeat this Hermit Crawmad, we should be okay. So yeah, lure it out and then try to attack it as it's retreating. Again, on its way back, we might as well help the Pikmin and punch a few times as well. The hole is also blocked off, which is very rude. This game likes to do that, put basically block up the exit, so you have to have this type of Pikmin for some of it, or make a very risky trip through the water with other kinds of Pikmin. So yeah, this is definitely the better option, to just have some blue Pikmin around on this floor. Again, it does feel like you're intended to have 20 of each type, again, partly because of the Easter egg song, but also just in general, it feels like you're meant to have even numbers, even though a lot of times I almost feel like it's not super necessary. Again, in very specific circumstances where there's like a specific enemy, like a fiery Bulplax, in which case you'd want fire, but a lot of times you really don't need certain Pikmin types. Yellow Pikmin are also kind of in a similar situation, actually. And we have the nutrient silo for 130 Pokos. Alright, that was not as bad as it could have been. Again, we didn't have to fight all of this at least, so that's something. So, the Hole of Heroes is actually kind of like a boss rush in some ways. We'll be seeing a lot of familiar bosses as we make our way through here, which is not my favorite thing, to be honest. Here we have another ranging Blaster, and we have a bunch of cannon beetles. So, the worst part about this floor is simply clearing everything out to safely get through the rest of the floor. So we'll take out this cannon beetle here, swap over to Olimar, that'll cause it to lose focus, and move Olimar to this side, and then try to attack. The worst part is the decorated cannon beetle because that will home in, so we have to be a little bit careful in terms of that. That was actually a very close call there. Swapping over to Olimar, I'm pretty sure the boulders also track the captain in control, the one that is currently being controlled. So similarly, we're going to try to lure this boulder over here. We might not have to deal with the other cannon beetle, but I might try to defeat it just to be on the safe side. Also, the boulders don't hurt the ranging blaster, sadly. That would definitely make this fight a lot easier. Also, it actually is regenerating a little bit of health. A lot of enemies do have a little bit of health regeneration while they're alive, but it's usually pretty negligible when you're actually fighting it. But you notice it a lot when you get an enemy to half health, like to yellow, and then swap over like to something else, and then let it regenerate a little bit, basically. Alright, that wasn't too terrible, but again, there's still one decorated cannon beetle right by the exit, so I'm a little bit concerned about how this is going to go. Is this close enough to get its attention? It kind of looks like it is, so really quickly, we're going to take this one out as well. I actually don't know where its weak point is. Like, if the boulder hits a specific spot, it feels like it deals more damage. Like, sometimes boulders will just instantly defeat a cannon beetle. But it's not always that. Sometimes it's like half health. So I actually don't know where the best place to stand is, in terms of like where to lure the actual boulder and where to kind of position the cannon beetle. That is definitely enough though, and we are free to move on as soon as we carry this back and also break down this wall. So yeah, we're gonna move over to the other side as they carry this back. I kind of spaced out that there were boulders on this floor for some reason, so that might have been really bad, but luckily, no harm done. For 100 Pokos, we have the Joyless Jewel. Overall, I feel like this, despite a couple of resets, this has actually been going pretty smoothly so far, but we're actually not at the worst part yet. We have yet another rest floor, but this one is slightly less restful, because we have a Bulkman. So if you happen to lose Pikmin up to this point, or you entered without a full squad of 100 Pikmin, you could get Bulkman here. Hypothetically, you might actually want to enter without 100 Pikmin, just because of that. Because they can handle all elements, which would be nice for some of the floors ahead. Again, the only downside is you can't take them with you. So yeah, you would want to convert them to other kinds of Pikmin before leaving the cavern, if you want to boost your numbers like that. I actually messed up there. That's fine, we have another bitter spray over here. There's probably more Doodle bugs on this floor anyway, to be honest. I'm going to quickly check this floor just to make sure, because again, having some extras will be nice. I actually wonder how many we'll have by the end of this playthrough. I guess it depends on how we approach some of these later floors. But that seems to be everything, so I guess we should move on to sub-level 9. once again, this is my second attempt at this floor. What happened was I was trying to fight an orange bulb orb, and Pikmin were getting stuck on the corner here, and basically I wasn't actually attacking it. So yeah. Let's hope this goes a little bit better this time. We actually have a lot to worry about, but this is actually a pretty good setup, all things considered. The ball bear is stuck on the lower ledge, which means we don't have to worry about it, and we can actually fight it from above, giving us a bit of an advantage in this fight. I want to clear out some of the other bulborbs in the meantime. One thing worth mentioning is that the dwarf bulborbs can actually eat Pikmin if you're not careful, so definitely be aware of them, and make sure that after defeating the bulb bear, you still have a couple Pikmin left to throw in case you do have to defeat these still. In addition to that, the ball bear doesn't have the treasure, so we have to keep fighting a little bit more. This is actually very dangerous, tossing Pikmin this close to an orange ball bear, for that very reason. So now we have the fun task of how do we get out of this mess. Let's just run up here very quickly, and hope for the best. Try to go this way to keep it from actually, like, going up the ramp there. And we should be good to go, and like before, it's actually on the lower level, which makes it pretty easy to defeat. As far as level layouts go, this one is actually not too horrible. Not having the orange bulb orb and the ball bear right by the gate definitely did help. So yeah, we can actually attack from up here, making it much easier to line up throws. But just to demonstrate a little bit, I'm not going to fight the entire go through the entire fight like this, but yeah, the purple Pikmin actually can deal damage to the fiery bulblacks and can actually stun. So if you do this, you actually don't need red Pikmin for this. But again, it's not necessarily the best strategy. Now while we're here, we might as well actually continue this fight like this. Now to be fair, I always feel like I'm taking a risk by having to call the Pikmin every time. Also, because you're just dealing impact damage, I almost feel like it goes pretty slowly, but yeah, if you're in a position where you don't have red Pikmin, that is a viable way to actually fight a fiery bulblax. I was kind of thinking about fighting or going through the rest of the fight like that, but that was way faster. Alright, so let's carry this back. Never mind. They're taking it right past these dwarf bulborbs. So let's go over here, defeat these really quickly, and then they'll be able to carry it back. Why was I not throwing Pikmin for some reason? I was actually punching. I guess they weren't standing close enough, but they should have been. Alright, so now, with that resolved, we can have them carry it back for real this time, and yeah, there shouldn't be anything else that would get in the way. So yeah, this is a very combat-oriented cavern with a ton of returning enemies from earlier in our adventure. We didn't really have a boss fight on this floor, but we definitely had some very, very scary enemies, like the fiery bulblax and the bull bear. But again, luckily everything worked out. Nothing was in a really bad spot that made it really, really challenging to get past. And we have the Dimensional Slicer for 100 Pokos. And that takes care of sub-level 9. This floor is interesting because, in theory, it's actually not that bad. In practice, it is actually kind of bad. So, it depends on how the layout is, and we got a particularly poor layout because we have 2 Emperor Bulblaxes. The problem right now is, remember how we basically got through the fight really quickly with purple Pikmin, in the Bulblax Kingdom, well, we can't really do that because of all the poison. We also have all of these enemies. By the way, they're called Mittites. Again, you can defeat them basically in one throw to get Nectar, so that's kind of nice, but again, they actually cause the Pikmin to run away, so be very careful when navigating floors like this, because if a Pikmin starts to run and you run straight into poison, obviously that's not great. Alright, let's try this again. We're going to throw basically between its ice stalks, like so, and you can deal damage while it's rising up from the ground, and we basically got through the entire fight in one go. It woke up the other Bulblax though, so obviously we're not quite done yet. I am wondering how I should proceed from here. I might wait until they go back into the ground, or until that one moves away. That one might be far enough away that I can fight this one without too much trouble. And depending on which one has the treasure, we might only have to fight one. I think we only have to defeat this one here, based on what the radar is saying. Obviously now we have the problem of how do we get the treasure, because the Bulblax is now right there. And yeah, if it's already out of the ground, it's obviously a lot tougher to actually defeat, because the animation buys you a lot of time in terms of actually fighting it. So yeah, as soon as it goes back underground, we should be good to go to run over and pick this up. But again, actually I don't know if they can return to the ground. I want to say they can, but I guess maybe it just takes a bit. There it goes. So let's quickly run over here, pick up the treasure, and hopefully carry it back without too much effort here. They're trying to pick up the Bulblax, which is not great. There we go, finally. So we'll carry this back and make a beeline for the exit. This is the treasured gyro block for 80 Pokos. So yeah, it actually was pretty lucky that the first one had the treasure and not the second one.